SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com. Since the dawn of civilization, the elusive quest in pursuit of the perfect drink continues to evolve. Now more than ever, we reap the rewards of this passion. The perfect vintage, the finest brew, or a spirit of optimum age and class. And now, SoFloRadio.com invites you to discover the wonderful world of booze by the glass.
Hey everybody, welcome to By the Glass. I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, welcoming you to another wonderful episode of Beverage Culture. We come to you on Thursdays at 6 o'clock down here in beautiful Hollywood on SoFlo Radio and ByTheGlassShow.com. Joined by my man on the board over here, Ivan Bass.
Yes, I am. Oh, wait, I need to put my
so
glasses
bad,
on.
so crazy, so wild. All that and then some. He's got to put a disguise on, so all you people do not rape him in the street. Right? I mean, that's kind of what it's come to these days.
It's in the street.
Yeah, a little bit of butt rape in the street. Huh?
Oh, man, I just can't leave the house anymore.
Can't leave the house anymore, unless he wants some. And then here we go. We got Mr. Corey Briceman from the Florida Beer Company in the house. He's over here to my right, and he's just absolutely enamored to be here. Look at him. He's just, he's already having a great time. Time of your life? Don't.
Oh, yeah.
All right, don't get too excited. So. Absolutely. So, this is like one of those shows, folks, where we kind of revisit some things. We're revisiting the Florida Beer Company. That's a wonderful entity that's existing for upwards of 10 years down here in South Florida, in Florida State.
Yeah,
and more than 10 years. And they've basically assembled quite a portfolio of some really amazing beers over the years. We're going to have Corey talk to us about that, connect some of the dots and what's going on with them. They were that entity, that brewery that's been here before craft beer, and even if the bubble pops, they'll be around for far longer because they hold those wonderful heralded Key West brands. And those Key West brands, let's face it, you're from Michigan or Seattle or some other ice cold frozen popsicle, and you get on a plane in February, and what do? You get off the plane, you go right down to Key West, put your toes in the sand, you have a great Key West beer, right? I mean, what else is there, right? A local beer?
That's a great description. The Key West brand's been around a long time, and it's developed a really nice following, especially the last couple of years. And it's been this year. It's the sales have taken off. We're doing phenomenal with that brand. And it is synonymous with Florida Beer Company. People definitely know us and have known us, from that brand. Over the last couple of years, though, we've come up with some really neat other styles and brands to
a lot of great offerings coming down the line, and that's what we got Corey in here now. He's going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the brewery. I know that we had Bob Gordash, the man with the plan, who was in here about 6 months ago to talk about when the actual grand opening of the brewery took place, but some things have happened since then, and it's an excellent entity up there in the Canaveral, the port, for a reason, and soon to be a destination spot for your cruises.
Yes,
and but a lot of fantastic stuff. We have some beers here tonight, which are some seasonal offerings. Some of the things that I really find exciting about what's coming up with the Florida Beer Company is the fact that you showed me a diagram of all the offerings that you have slated. It was interesting. You did like a January through December 2015, and Brett, this is what we've got coming out for Florida Beer Company. Talk about some of those offerings.
Yeah, it's basically a brewery production calendar for 2015. One of the things we're really excited about is next year we're going to come out with an aluminum bottle, and aluminum cans have become extremely popular with the craft beer, really taken off. You notice if you go in the stores in the cold sets and in the shelves, you notice a lot more aluminum cans.
Vessel of choice, South Florida
for the craft beers, and we decided to do something a little unique and different, and that's why we're going to go with aluminum bottles, and they look phenomenal, and I'm excited. I can't wait till those come out next year. It's going to open up a whole new area of business for us, and then obviously it's going to help perpetuate the business that we have in the existing markets. But now you can sell to boats, you can sell to hotels that won't carry bottles because of the glass factor.
Right.
Cruise ships, it just opens up a whole.
It fits really nicely in that niche. If they don't want a can because cans are so we're a fancy schmancer joint. We don't want a can.
I got over that.
Like
we were all raised on cans here in Florida.
Well, you know, who doesn't love cans?
Right.
I love me some cans.
Yeah, you can carry more. You can carry more cans.
Absolutely, you could drop your cans.
Yeah,
and not hurt your cans.
I'm gonna be the professional one here and stay very.
We're professional. Why? What are you thinking about, Corey? But absolutely. I mean, it does fit a niche, and there's so much going on with pools, golf courses, and the boating community.
Definitely, and so we're really excited about that. Another thing we're doing next year is for those of you that are familiar with the Swamp Ape brand, we're going to come out with a series of styles that are in the Swamp Ape family. There's going to be 3 or 4 different unique Swamp Ape beers, but different styles within that family. They're going to be called Friends of Swamp Ape, and I think that's going to be really cool.
What about the Christmas ape, George? You got some Christmas ape?
That's right.
Is that a real thing, or are you having at me?
Yeah, he's got dingleberries and
he wears the hat
because I'm very gullible. I just kind of believe whatever you say there. You've got some Christmas ape beer. I'll drink it. You know what's it taste like?
A hairy ape? No, I'm just kidding. But no, we actually have some interesting stuff here tonight. Part of that whole line, we managed to get our hands on a smoked swamp ape. So.
Yes.
And that'll be one that we'll be talking about and drinking later on. I don't think a lot of people
that sounds
understand.
Frightening.
Oh, it is. It is. It's very frightening.
It's Swamp Ape Plus.
Oh my God.
Plus smoke. Like that liquid smoke stuff that you put all over your food.
I like that. I like smoke.
And you're a big bacon fan.
And I like
why does this sound scary then?
Peated Scotch.
Really so why does this sound scary? This is right.
Well, because it's an IPA, is it?
It's your wheelhouse. It's a
double
DIPA.
IPA.
It's a
yeah,
DIPA.
yeah. That sounds really frightening.
DIPA smoker.
That might hurt me.
It's a smoker DIPA.
Yeah.
It'll definitely hurt you.
One of the things I was going to mention about our new facility, it's a mile from the port, and we've been fortunate enough to connect with the cruise ships.
Yeah.
Right now we're currently serving our beers on all the Disney ships, and on top of that, we also are part of the excursions of a number of other cruise lines, so that when you're in port, you can actually pay through the cruise line to take a trip over to the brewery and try all of our beers out there at the tap room, and get a sample of what it's like to be at a brewery. And what's neat about it is it's exposing. I think there's over 3 million passengers going through there every year now.
Wow,
it's a huge port now, and so it's going to expose Florida to craft beer, and it's going to people are going to know and take notice that Florida has some great craft breweries.
It is. It's a wonderful experience to get up at the brewery. You guys did a wonderful job up there. It's a huge tasting room. It's really done well. There's a great kind of a guy. Who is the guy? Not Guy Harvey. Is it Guy Harvey? Yeah, the guy that does all the taxidermy for the fish and everything.
Yeah.
You have all those wonderful sharks coming off the wall, and
yeah,
a
we
lot
have
of real maritime theme.
Yeah, it's definitely
surfboards
an ocean.
Whatnot.
It's an ocean theme.
It is an ocean theme, and because you're so close to Ron John right there, and that whole, and people often ask me, why up in Canaveral? Well, that gives you kind of like a nice centrality throughout the whole state of Florida, right? You're a good representation of the state.
It's a great spot, and not only being a mile from the port, it was we needed to find a bigger facility because we were growing, and that area, the Cape Canaveral area, they welcomed us. They made it very easy for us to come in there. We found a really nice building that was actually a missile plant. In the past, it was a Chrysler missile plant.
Wow.
And because of the less activity going on with NASA, there were a lot of opportunities for us in that area, and it is a central location, so it's perfect for us.
Yeah, and it's a really nice. It's a fresh, clean break from the old facility. I don't know if everybody's ever been to the old facility, but this is just like starting anew. And you really have started anew with all the beer too. You guys have been tremendously successful in 2014.
We have. We've come out with a lot of new styles. One of them we're going to taste tonight, the pumpkin beer, and it's
Pils?
Just the Pilsner too, the Sunshine State Pils.
Yeah.
The facility's just allowed us a lot more growth and a lot to do it at a lot quicker time frame also, and obviously with the state of the art equipment, the quality of the beers is just on another level now.
Consistency too, huh?
Yes, consistency, and that's the name of the game with brewing is consistency.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that the beers have hit a pinnacle now to where they're right in the pocket with a lot of some of these other beers. Like if you look at the fact that it's a local product and it's high quality like it is, then those are the two key factors to drive sales and just to continue on with another great entity from Florida Beer Company. So some of the beers we have here tonight, I think we can actually start drinking. George, what do you say?
Sounds great. Yeah, please, can we?
Would you mind grabbing? Yeah, I'll tell you what, Corey. Why don't you get up there for us, please? You can grab some glasses. Whatever you want to drink out of, whether it be. You want to do rocks glasses? That's fine. I mean, I always allow for the guest to do whatever he wants. George, you know that, right?
Yeah.
We let the guests do whatever
they have their way.
Yeah, that's okay.
Some work better than others.
Yeah. Hey, shot glasses too. Are we going to do some shots?
I think these were beer sampling glasses.
Yeah, they were absolutely. We did. Yeah, fantastic. So what we did here is I just brought something to wet the whistle, but one of the beers that I brought initially to wet the whistle is the Key West Southernmost Wheat. Now, I'm not sure if we've had it. Here's the thing. I don't think we've had it on the show, because I just don't think it was available for us to bring down. I don't think we ever had this one on the show, Key West
Southernmost?
I'm not really sure. This is an interesting beer, and everybody knows that Belgian Wit is a style that really, I mean, you can say that it has given way to really the craft beer revolution. Blue Moon has always been that beer that everybody kind of tries first, George, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, out there, everybody's always tried one of those. And what they've done was they said, let me try that, and then it's kind of opened up their palate to try different things. Well, that's a Belgian Wit style, and it's a wonderful style. It has that really nice 50% malted barley, 50% unmalted wheat, and what it does is it gives you almost a sweet crispness, a little bit of dryness, and then they kind of balance it generally in the Belgian styles with some coriander, orange peel, a little sweetness to balance what's kind of like almost a sour kind of crisp wheat. This one here, though, so there's a nice twist that you guys do, a local twist with the key lime. Talk about that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the Key West, the Sunset Ale is our flagship brand.
Yeah.
And about 9 years ago, and as you were saying, Blue Moon became extremely popular, and it opened people's eyes to that Belgian style of beer. So we decided to come out with our own version of it under the Key West label, and we wanted to do something that was iconic to the Keys, and that's the point of difference of this Belgian Wit is
it's delicious.
Yeah, we had key lime to it, which gives it that Florida twist.
That zing, man, because I like key lime pie.
Yeah, there's a little tartness to it, so it gives a little bit of a different flavor than the typical Belgian.
Yeah, one thing also though is it really nice. The yeast that you're using is very apparent. I mean,
Belgian yeast.
Yeah, you get a lot of that coriander and orange peel, but it also gives you a little bit of the phenols of what they call candied circus peanut. Kind of mixed with, remember those candies?
Absolutely,
George?
Man. Those are addictive.
You get that kind of like candy circus peanut in there, and it's kind of almost mixed with a little bit of bubble gum and banana. I mean, you get all of those real flavors in here.
Definitely the bubble. Yeah, I what you're saying, I agree. It's a unique, but it's not overpowering, because we try to keep our beers sessionable, which is a buzz term in craft beers now, where you can drink a couple instead of just one and you're done. Yeah,
you could easily drink a couple of these, and then you go from that really almost fruitiness without being sweet and cloying because it's light and a nice carbonation, but it balances with this key lime acidity as opposed to the coriander orange peel, which is a spicy kind of balance to a sweetness of the malt. You use an acidic aspect, which basically people don't, if they do realize or not, hops are an acid, and that's what creates the bitterness, which balances the malt. You guys are actually using an acidity from a natural fruit to balance the malt here.
So. Right, and it's a tricky balance. You got to make sure you don't overdo one or the other. You want to keep that balance right in the pocket so that it's easily drinkable, and I think we've done a pretty good job with that.
You have these beers; they taste very consistent. They have a complexity of flavor profile, which is the depth to them, but they're also uniformity of drinkability to them, to where they're easygoing in a way to where there's not one thing more than the other. There's a good balance of flow with these beers now, and it's exactly where you want to be. I mean, you want your beer to be, well-rounded, and uniform, but you also want it to be just dynamic enough to where it has a characteristic that you're trying to
flavor,
distinction that you're trying to put forth as the brewery. So speaking of the brewery, I mean, what's the capacity now? I mean, talk to us about some of the tank sizes and things that are going on there.
Well, we have a 90-barrel brew house. So each batch, each brew is 90 barrels plus. As it stands now, we have capacity to brew well over 100,000 barrels in a year.
That's tremendous. I mean, Southeast region, who's doing that kind of capacity? I mean, who were some of the... So you have what? Cigar City, Abita, Sweetwater. I mean, they're all in that same pocket?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know if Cigar City is quite at that capacity.
Yeah.
But the Sweetwaters, the Abitas, breweries at that stuff,
yeah, there's only a few at that level
in the Southeast. And we have room to retrofit another tank, and with that other tank done in there, we
another tank in the brew house.
Yes,
wow.
And right next to the one that we have room to put another tank right next to another 90-barrel tank. We will be able to get up to somewhere over 300,000.
That's insane.
Barrels. So we're poised for.
I mean, that's
growth.
That's insane. That's huge. Yeah, I mean, to do something like that. I mean, wow. So
we got to get all the cruise ships to buy our beer.
Yeah. Well, speaking of buying your beer, I know that you just well, congratulations. You got a little nod there at the company, and you were working in the Southeast region for a while, but now you're opening new states, huh? Talk to me about some of the experiences you've had, some of the states you're opening, and what's going on out there.
I am. It's been really exciting. I originally started in the company 11 years ago, and I was focused only on South Florida, and the last year. My position changed. There was some personnel changes in the company, and allowed me to take on some more responsibility. And one of those is I've been working on opening up new markets in our expansion phase. We're going through a phase now. We're working on getting distribution throughout the Southeast, and then up the East Coast and into the Northeast. We recently launched in the whole state of North Carolina. We did that in August, and we'll be launching full state distribution in Georgia right at the beginning of the year.
Wow.
So
how's the difference between distributors moving up in the East Coast and everything? I mean, you see a lot of difference?
As far as dealing with the distributors? Or?
Well, I don't know, just how people go to market, the different markets. What have you noticed? What are some of the fun things that are fun and interesting that you would note?
Well, North Carolina is a very different market in the sense that it's much more crafty. The drinkers there are South Florida, and Florida in general is probably one of the last states in the country to really get it with craft beer, and for that evolution to come down into Florida. North Carolina is an advanced craft market. There's a number of huge breweries that are located in, Sierra Nevada recently moved into Asheville. I think Oscar Blues is coming.
Right.
And so...
Oscar Blues is there, New Belgium.
I'm not boring you, am I?
No, I'm sorry. No, Oscar Blues is there, New Belgium. I had a few too many pints on the way over. Oscar Blues is there, New Belgium is opening their new one too. But
yeah, so
the demographics there are quite different, huh?
It's a little more in the cities. It's kind of similar to the cities here, but it's a lot more rural there. Yeah. So outside of the main cities, you're not going to get the sophisticated drinkers like you would in the main areas. For instance, Raleigh, Asheville, even Charlotte. But the point I'm making is they're much more sophisticated in the craft drinking segment. So they're a lot more knowledgeable, and you have to be on your game with your beers in order to gain attention in those markets. So what's neat about what's going on now with our company is we're starting to come out with a lot of different styles and things that are more attractive to these sophisticated craft drinkers. So it was good timing for us to move out into these other markets.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at South Florida, it's been harder for people to break into the craft because it's hot outside. It's a beachy kind of place. People are generally, and a lot of the craft beers haven't really been created for that demographic. Let's face it, you have the Dogfish and the Sierra Nevadas of the world. They're made for mountains and whatnot and cooler climates, and it's just never been something that's really, really caught on. But now people here, it's just like anything. They can live their life inside an air conditioning, right, George? I mean, they don't have to.
Yeah.
It's not like
air conditioning is nice.
You could totally forget that you're even in Florida if you just have like, a 9-to-5 job and like, you go to work and come home, So it's real easy to like, get up and drink a Russian Imperial Stout, in your house at 8 o'clock at night, with the AC on 65, and who gives a shit? It's the middle of the night, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's back in the day, it was more like, oh, we're going to the beach, just grab a Corona,
right? Right.
But in the mountains, when you're in the mountains, you're like, oh, I'm gonna drink a big hearty beer with a lot of hops, and I feel,
Well, I lived in Oregon, in the late '80s,
which is cold and
they were
wet
already drinking. They were already drinking.
Yeah, because could you imagine drinking like Miller Lite or Corona in Oregon? You'd be like, I can't. It just doesn't do it. You know what I mean? It's just like you need something that's savory. That's gonna have some chutzpah. It's gonna cut through.
They've been drinking those heavy beers for 25, 30 years, whereas we just started drinking them the last couple of years.
It's amazing. I mean, you're from Montana,
Yeah, well, I spent some time. That's where they taught me to drink beer there. Horrible beer.
Well, it's because it's all they had. But if you look at it compared
to
like the
Guinness
real
there,
horrible,
they were holding out on me the whole time. But Olympia, Rainier,
but those were like craft compared to what was the rest of the world.
Those were bad beers, man. Those regional beers. This is why they're regional beers,
right?
Is because they can't make it out of there,
right? Right.
Milwaukee beers are not regional beers, I'm sorry, that was just horrible. When I went to other places and had other beers.
But if you look at some of the beers that you've been to recently back to Montana, and you look at some of the beers that are being created and consumed there, I mean, they're probably heartier, more typical to some of the beers that we've tried here.
I avoided Rainier. I just had horrible memories of it.
Well, no, I'm saying like you didn't have any local craft while you were there.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, there's a beer called Moose Drool. Because now that I've come back, and it's because I went into a bar looking for something dark, and I was just like naming.
Oh, we got some Moose Drool.
There was a guy missing a tooth playing pool. He goes, he wants Moose Drool.
Okay.
And he bought me my first one from Missoula, Montana, which is only 3.5 hours away.
What kind of beer was it?
It's very dark and sweet.
Ah.
Huh. Yeah, it was very malty, like Guinness with some sugar in it.
Some sugar in it. Absolutely, we all love that. Fantastic. So
interesting.
Yeah, Moose Drool. So basically, what's going on?
I took a picture.
Yeah. So you've opened some new markets. You've seen some demographics, and you guys are excited, poised. New brewery, capacity down a roll. You say to yourself, "Let's get back to Florida and let's do what no one else is doing. Let's make a Pilsner lager." Right?
Yes. And getting, talking a little bit about that buzzword, sessionable. A Pilsner beer is a sessionable beer without having to call it a sessionable beer. The beer that's popular right now, kind of the in beer, is a sessionable IPA.
Yeah. Which is a pale ale, by the way.
Yeah. We've had those arguments before on Facebook and everything. But the thing about a Pilsner is it's very difficult to make a good Pilsner because you can't hide the flavors in it. It's got
no imperfections.
Right. And in order to you have to know what you're doing to get a good Pilsner, to brew a good Pilsner. So not all craft breweries are touting themselves as a Pilsner.
Well, that's not the only reason they're not. It's because let's face it takes 6 weeks at least to lager in the bright tank after it comes off the yeast. Post fermentation in order for it to drop and be cured perfectly. So I mean, who's got that kind of time? Who's got that kind of tank time, right? You do.
Yeah, that's important, having the capability, the capacity.
I mean, you look at Abita, everything they do is a lager ale yeast hybrid, but mostly what they do is they lager everything because they have the huge capacity. You guys making lagers because you have the capacity. I mean, you don't see Cigar City will put out a lager seasonally. Maybe some of the smaller, more local breweries they don't even put out a seasonal lager. I mean, they're not even doing one just for the heck of it because they just can't take up their 20 barrel fermenter.
Right.
Right.
Well, we came out with this. This has been out now about 6 months, maybe 6-7 months, and the label's awesome. It's a license plate.
Yeah. Sunshine State Pils by the Florida Beer Company. I mean, if you look at it, everybody, it's basically that really cool license plate. Like when you walk into the Elbow Room back in the day and they had all the license plate everywhere.
And by the way, we just got put on at the Elbow Room. We're about to get put on.
You seen
that? Oh my
before?
goodness gracious!
That's cool, huh? I mean,
you know what?
and
I
George
saw
loves
that.
pills.
Yeah,
And the beer, too.
And the beer too.
So you must be dying to try it. Then we have glasses there.
Yeah, we'll pour
yeah,
some
and
on.
we've
you
had a
actually
lot of
will like
suc-
this, George. It's a Pilsner.
We've had a lot of success with it.
Now, this is a great beer.
I think I saw this tripping around the beer festival.
Oh, yeah, you sure
Yes.
probably did, yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
we've been promoting it pretty intensely.
Well, the beauty of this beer right off the bat is I always tell
Smells-
people this.
smells good.
Most of the Pilsners you're going to try are going to be from Europe, okay? Or there might be a craft beer up in, from New York possibly or far away to where, these beers have to get created, shipped in, whatever. They're going to be a couple months old, at the most. Also, Europe is going to be a few months old, if you're going to be drinking it. This right here is only a couple weeks old when we get it. I mean, you smell that fresh Pilsner malt. It's exceptional.
That's very fresh flavored too.
And the flavor on it. So freshness really,
Very crisp.
this beer speaks to a freshness that you just don't see in a lot of other Pilsners. And when they say to themselves, well, I like a craft beer because of this, this, and this. I mean, everybody makes a Pilsner, Miller and Bud and Yingling and whatnot. I mean, what's the difference between, because this is fresh, it's made in small batches, and it's handcrafted, and you can taste all the attributes that you really want to taste in a lager that you've never even tasted before when you taste this beer, right?
It's great. It's really, I could drink this all day. It's very clean.
And I would like to hire you as our spokesperson for the whole country.
Excellent. I want a job. I'm not good looking enough, but sure. I'll travel. I'll bring Pilsner. I'll take this to Montana. They might like some good beer up there.
Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of different flavor notes that I get from this beer that you don't get when you drink other Pilsners. It's almost like it's a little bit of that. There's a lot of fresh dough, like when you rip apart fresh dough, you get that smell, the yeasty, nice smell. It's a little bit almost like a honey mixed with like a flowery kind of perfuminess that comes from the hops, because you guys use this the Hallertau.
The Hallertau and a Saffir hops.
Saffir, which is a experimental. Or?
Yes. And as I said, the Pilsner needs to be crisp and clean, without a lot of aftertaste, and it needs to be smooth. This kind of beer you need to drink it cold though. It's definitely one of those beers. It's much better cold. And it's a German style, so it replicates the German European style.
It does.
Pilsner.
I think the closest thing in Europe I would
That's
say
like really
probably taste to this would be like maybe a Spaten or something like that. The Munich or Helles. But since it's an American, and oddly enough, generally, the American interpretation of a European style tends to be a little bit more bitter, a little bit more alcohol, all those types of things.
A little
But this
hoppier.
one here isn't hoppier than a German Pilsner. It's more approachable. And German Pilsners tend to be a little too hoppy for the American public. That's why more people drink Stella than they do, Radeberger, so to speak.
Right.
Because the fact of the matter is they don't want it just that hoppy. So this has just enough drying.
Is this
hop.
filtered or not?
Yeah, right.
It's actually we use a centrifuge, which is
Centrifuge.
a
Okay.
separator, and
It's like the Gravitron.
Right. I know. I like. I'm hip, man. I took chemistry.
but
It's not just for
That's
blood.
how we can get the clarity that we get.
That's how
in
you
the
make such
beer.
good meth, right?
That's right. I have a method.
And the interesting thing about brewing a Pilsner and directing it towards the craft drinker is, because the point I wanted to touch on, you were mentioning how the American palate doesn't like beers that are too hoppy,
Right.
with the bitterness, but
With a lager, with their IPAs,
right,
they love it.
right. But and then because this whole generation is drinking IPAs and they're used to hoppy beers,
Yeah.
when they drink this, it doesn't really taste hoppy to them at all because their palates are used to
right.
hops, even though they don't expect it in a Pilsner. Still, the whole palate of that craft drinker is
But
changed.
I mean, its threshold of hops is right there to where it stops the malt from being sweet and is refreshing, but it doesn't leave a lingering aftertaste of bitterness and dryness.
Right.
Too much. It's just nuance, right, George? I mean,
It's so clean and callet cleansing. It's callet.
you can cleanse your palate for sure.
Totally. No, it drinks itself. It's so smooth.
that's a good one. I like that. It drinks itself.
It just keeps me along for the ride.
Yeah. So, but that's the idea with the Pilsner. You don't want there to be any aftertaste. You want it to be nice and smooth and easy drinking, so you can just pound them.
Sure.
So you were saying this one
Makes
you've had
me wanna eat.
a lot of success. Well, these
We
are
have.
beer foods. I mean, craft beers. This one works perfect with food, and especially in South Florida, seafood galore, sushi.
Makes me want a pizza, man.
Pizza. I was gonna say pizza and Pils is.
Well, but that's the best thing about Pilsner is it goes with pizza, it goes with chicken, it goes with anything, Chinese food. You can have it with anything, and it really works. That's why it's great for beer dinners because, we can put it any part of the dinner. But didn't you just have a beer dinner up in West Palm Beach?
I did.
How did that go?
It went very well. It was at the Garage, which is actually north of downtown Palm Beach.
That Northwood area.
Area. It's kind of a trendy area, up and coming area, and we did 5 different beers there, and Pilsner was featured on there as one of them. And the food was excellent too.
She's married to the gentleman from Leftovers.
Right. That did the food
Little
shack.
Moore family.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Their food is excellent. I've been to
Excellent.
all their restaurants, and the food shack, and then Leftovers. We've had lunch there before, and
Yes.
and the guy's an excellent chef, and she's excellent too, and she's very enthusiastic, and it was a nice beer dinner. And for anyone that hasn't ever been to a beer dinner, I would recommend them because they're generally, with good beers, and generally the food is upscale, and they try a little harder, it seems, with the food when it comes to doing it with a beer dinner.
Yeah, and they don't seem like a cheap date, but if you're out there with somebody you like, and you can get one for like $50 per person type of thing, it's really not that bad. I mean, plus a tip, you're out of there for. I mean, it's a decent price, and you get a lot of food and a lot of beer.
Yeah, and it's fun, and and the whoever the brewer is comes in and hosts it. So it's kind of a little bit of a show also, and you get to learn about beer and how it pairs with food. So it's a nice social outing for 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to quite a few that people all sit together that don't know each other, and they end up talking, and everybody takes their clothes off at the end of the night. Oh,
that's right. After you make sure they
right
drink the 5 beers, and then they're all good to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking and having fun. So wonderful stuff. The Sunshine State Pils. Now, where can we find this? I mean, this is one that's.
You can find it in Winn-Dixie, Total Wine, ABC, select restaurants and bars.
But no Publix? Why not Publix?
We're working on Publix.
Okay, so I'll be able to find this soon in Publix?
Yes.
This seems like this would do really well. I think I saw this in a Fresh Market.
You can find it at Fresh Market and Whole Foods also.
Oh, so there's a lot. It's out there. People are looking for it. And would you say you got some new business on the beach with this one?
We've gotten a lot of new business on draft.
Yeah.
And it's happened recently. And I think what's happened is, when you're on the beach, the bars are very close to each other and they tend to talk to each other. If something does real well,
they say keep this guy George out.
I got my pictures on so many walls.
You ever go to Nick's?
By the cash register.
Nick's, George?
All the time.
Guess what?
Well, that Hollywood, you're referring to Hollywood
Yeah.
Beach. I was talking about Fort Lauderdale, but yes, Hollywood Beach, they're carrying it down there at Nick's Bar. And
it's going to be on special, plus a lot of Florida
yes.
Beer Company stuff, huh?
Yes.
That's great. Reason to go back.
I think what's happening is everyone's starting to appreciate more and more the importance of doing local stuff. And now that it's season, where you got the people coming from out of state and out of the country, they want to come in and they want to try something that's made from the local community. And I think the owners are starting to realize this more and more as local becomes more popular. And so we're starting to get a lot more play based off of that.
That's great.
So it's pretty exciting for us. And Fort Lauderdale Beach is another area where we've exploded with our brands out there. So
good stuff. It's all good stuff. And it's the Florida Beer Company Sunshine State Pils. And George needs some more. We'll take a quick break, I guess.
While you're pouring that?
Yeah, while we're pouring that, we'll take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to try some more. We got some really excellent, about 3 or 4 more offerings from the Florida Beer Company and all that wonderful stuff when we come back on SoFlo Radio, ByTheGlassShow.com.
We're worldwide, baby. Interactive Lifestyle Radio. SoFloRadio.com. Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now, 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
Pizza Loft, if you wanna go Italian and see Jeff Cohen's ponytail. You'll have great Italian food that's made by a Jew who has lovely painted nails.
Hey, Donnie, how long we been on this deserted island?
A long time, Lonnie. So long I'm starting to fantasize about food.
Yeah, food from the pizza
I
loft.
sure could go for one of their gourmet pizzas right about now.
Or lasagna bubbling with cheese and oozing with tomato sauce.
Stop it. You're making me think of their great manicotti and sensational Italian sandwiches.
Yeah, but there's nothing to eat here unless you want to gnaw on this old lamp that washed up on shore.
Speak to me, guys. What can I do for you?
Hey, look, Donnie, a genie.
I'm no genie. I'm Jeff Cohen from the Pizza Loft.
Wow, Lonnie, all our dreams are coming true.
Okay. How about some great homemade pasta or calzones and lots of that homemade Italian garlic bread?
Pizza Loft does catering, Lonnie. They can cater this whole
Hey,
island.
wait a minute, Donnie. We only get 3 wishes, don't we?
Oh, no. At Pizza Loft, your every wish is my command.
Then how about $1 million? A dozen babes. A way to get us off this stinking island.
Sorry, guys. I only do Italian.
For lunch, for dinner, for office or home catering, step up to flavor. Step up to Pizza Loft.
SoFloRadio.com remains on the air with free archives thanks to the support of our listeners. Help keep us on the air by clicking the donate button on SoFloRadio.com. And thank you for your generous support. And now we return you to By the Glass.
I don't blame you.
All right. Yeah, baby, get down tonight. We are back on Soulful Radio by the Glass Show. We're having a fantastic time. So I wanted to play that song for because I feel like I'm getting down tonight. I got Corey Briceman from the Florida Beer Company in here. I got my
little Harry Casey, man, nice Florida boy.
He really was.
He used to call in on the Neil show all the time.
Did he really?
Yeah.
He was a hell of a guy. I think I saw them at the Universal Studios Mardi Gras and had a hell of a time. It was only 5 years ago, but of course I was too young to see them when they were popular. But they took the world by storm. Casey is such a band.
They're good. That was good music,
and it's still
I'm
being
not
played.
afraid to say it.
No, not at all. I mean, those were fun times, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you didn't have to wear a condom. I mean, all you could get was shit beer, but I mean, hey, let's face it, it was good times. So anyway, we're back, folks, and we're having a fantastic time. We're trying some really great new offerings from the Florida Beer Company, and some good stuff that they got. I mean, this Pils is second to none. If you really want a good lager, another great thing that we didn't talk about is it's a good segue for people out there who don't know craft beer. It's scary. You walk into these bars and there's 100 taps of all this crazy shit with all these weird tap handles, right?
You have it's hard to know what they are.
Yeah. You see one that just says, Pilsner. Okay, well, let me try that, because I see a Pilsner on my Miller Lite bottle. I know that's a Pilsner. Let's try, boom. Oh, this is, wow. This is so full flavor and everything, but it's not as scary. Great segue. I drink Bud Light. What do you suggest, sir? Try this because, this is a good segue for you without being scared off. It's not too hoppy. It's not too malty. It doesn't have a ton of spice. right?
Definitely. And the thing about craft beers and drinking craft beers, getting into it, it's kind of like wine. It takes a little while to develop palate for those beers, but the more you go out into the craft bars, the more you experiment at the store and pick up craft beers, the more you start to develop a palate for it. And I think, to me, the craft beer kind of goes hand in hand with hanging out with your friends. If you're hanging out with friends that are hanging out in craft bars and they're drinking craft beers, you're going to eventually start to develop a palate for it. And that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like you slowly ease into it. And
especially if your friends are bad influence like George.
Very bad.
Yes.
That's why they call me Ivan Bad.
So speaking of bad, we got the Gaspar's Porter coming up. Now, this is an interesting one. This is what you would call a seasonal offering, right?
It is, in South Florida especially. Porters are...
This one's hoppy.
In other parts of the country, they drink porters all year round.
Right.
South Florida is a unique market, especially, obviously, with the weather being as warm as it is.
You're going to like it, though.
And
it's got a Guinness vibe.
And also the fact that there's not as many craft drinkers down here. It's proportionately, you're going to have a lot less people going after a beer like this because it has a lot of flavor. They tend to be heavier.
That's clean. That's cloudy glass.
Not that this is a heavy, as far as porters are concerned, it's really not a heavy porter, but it is considered a heavier beer.
It's a robust porter, and by category, it is has more black patent malt, which if people at home don't know, that means that they take unmalted barley. So barley needs to be soaked and dried. That creates malt.
Yeah, I can handle this.
Right, but what they do is they actually take unmalted barley and they burn it. Like who's ever eaten gone through that bag of popcorn and you get that one burnt piece, all them burnt seeds.
Some of us like those kinds.
But I'm saying that's why you like these types of roasted beers because you bite into that.
So you drink a whole bag. You'd eat a whole bag of those burnt seeds.
But did you know that kind of like that acrid, right, smoky, burnt flavor?
Right. This has got a coffee.
Do you get that from this?
This is.
I'm
really liking the aftertaste on this.
It's good.
It's like the aftertaste from an espresso.
See, now that's the difference between the regular American porter and a robust porter. American porter, all the notes that you're getting on this beer, those really nice chocolate and coffee notes.
It's a sipping beer.
Yeah, you'll find those in a classic American porter. But the robust porter adds in that really acrid, burnt, black patent malt characteristic with a hop.
I want to eat ice cream with this.
There is. You know what's? There's nothing better than sitting in a. I was thinking. I was in North Carolina and there was a bar there, and it was like it felt like I was in a. Like I was in a dungeon. It was a really cool atmosphere. It was a little bit dark, and we ordered some really heavy porters, and we were sitting there sipping them, and it's just a great. It goes in well. It goes well with it. It was a little bit cold out.
Yeah, it's cold. It's dank.
Yeah, so when you get into this time of year, it's kind of cool to sip on a beer like this.
It's amazing. People don't realize seasonality and your surroundings affect the food and drink you eat.
Sure, they ought to.
Pardon me. It's hard to drink light beers when it's cold outside.
Yeah, you want something heavier. You want
some
something with a little more richness to it. Now, our porter isn't. It's a robust porter, but because it's Florida, we still kind of edged it more towards a more drinkable porter. It's not real heavy. It's only 6% alcohol.
Is this the same recipe as last year? Because it seems like it's a little less hoppier. I mean, just and more balanced.
As far as I know, they haven't changed it. It's we use 5 different.
Maybe it just grew a set of cojones, Brett.
Maybe because we came off of drinking.
I'll take a little
Pilsner.
more of this.
Yeah, this is quite
very yummy.
It is very yummy.
It's good. It's
but do you understand the robust aspect, the hops, and that you get that like bitter, like black. See, the thing is, like, there's 2 types of bitterness from this, right? The bitterness from the burnt grain.
But I can handle that.
I'm saying though, that's the characteristic we're looking for, though, to make it the style that it is.
This has got some good balance to it. Whatever that coffee flavor is really balancing the hop nicely.
That's the 2-row pale malts and the different Vienna and all the different types of malts that are used. See, interesting thing about porters is they'll use so much pale malt, which hasn't been roasted at all. Then they'll use some toasted malts. They'll use some lightly roasted malts, and then they'll use black patent malt. They'll use 4 or 5 different variations of malt to give you a complex structure of malt balance. And then what they'll do is they'll add in something like this. They'll add in some more aromatic hops and some bittering hops too, so you have a real wide.
one of the hops they're using is called a nugget hop, and I haven't heard that being used that often. I just know that that's in there. I don't know. I
It's a
don't have the
bittering
ingredients
hop
with me.
with
I
a
don't
high
know all
alpha.
the other hops that are used in that one. I should know that, but
what's really nice is on the nose, like you said, sweet malts, coffee, some toffee is in there. You definitely get some of that real wonderful cocoa, those classic notes. But then, the hops come through very well balanced. And I love the label, folks, at home. I mean, it's purple.
It's a pirate.
And it's a pirate,
Arr.
He's got a long tickle your butt mustache. With a feather, and so he looks a little like Tom Barris. I know you're gonna say that.
I know. He won't. He insists that it's not him, but I think it is.
It's totally him.
By the way, the beer won an international award at the Australian Beer Championships. It's a world-renowned organization that puts on this contest, and we won a gold medal for that beer. So. It's kind of out of nowhere. We won an international medal, so that's pretty.
It says amazing. Tom's actually been on the show. It was when we were in the old studio. He was, we've done so many shows. It's hard to remember, but I remember he was here. He was along with somebody as a guest.
With New Times or something?
He was here with. I don't remember, but he was actually on one of the shows. If Jason ever loads all the shows back on, because we had a problem with our website and it went down. So
the server, man.
There's like 30 or 40 shows out of like 300 loaded on. So Jason, we have them, thank God, and he just keeps loading them. But one day he'll get his crap.
We need
together.
an intern.
I do need an intern. Corey, what are you doing?
You need a female intern, right?
Well,
yeah. An
no,
internist.
no females.
That's right. He's all married. I'm not.
Fantastic. We're here, folks, with Florida Beer Company. Got Corey Briceman to my right over here, and we're trying some really wonderful seasonal and new offerings from the Florida Beer Company. It's really interesting because Florida Beer Company started out as one of the quintessential staple beers. I always like to say they were here before the craft movement. They'll be here well after if the bubble does pop, with brands like Key West that every tourist in the world comes
What a
down
great
to
name,
drink.
by the way, for a beer company.
What's that?
Florida Beer Company.
Well,
There are so many.
Do you want to talk a little bit about Jim Massoni?
Opening up
He's a unique
in
individual.
Florida. I mean, but everybody, like, you got the best name. There's so many breweries right now and popping up everywhere, left and right.
that's-
Well, the name
From being the first.
The brewery. It was originally we had a brewery in Melbourne called Indian River Beverage,
Right.
and that was the original name. And what's happened is in the early 2000s we acquired a number of brands from a number of different breweries that are all in different parts of Florida. We acquired the Key West brewery down in Key West. We acquired Ybor Brewing in Tampa, and because of all acquiring, and also in Miami, Hurricane Reef, the beers that were brewed there, it was in Medley. So what we decided was, because we acquired all these Florida breweries with all these Florida style brands, why not call
just
ourselves
consolidate the
exactly?
idea.
And that's why we came up with the name Florida Beer Company. It makes sense, and we decided Florida is so iconic with vacation and
Sure.
and just the fun times, the ocean. We felt that it was a great name and was synonymous with a lot of different things.
Yeah, and you guys did this, though, a long time before anybody else was down here making craft beer. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were screaming local, drink local 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Well before, the Due Souths, the Tequesta Brewing, Cigar City, before any of these guys were
Actually, the only guy who was around was the guy we had on a couple weeks ago, Matt Cox, with what's the one place? The Big Bear.
Big Bear Brewing?
Yeah, he's been around for a while. A nice guy, too. You liked him. You'd like him a lot. He's a really great guy.
I haven't met him.
He's opening up his own local brewery called Copper Top in Boynton Beach, and his beer is very good. So, how do you feel about all these new breweries opening up?
I think it's great. I think what it's done is it's brought more attention to drinking local.
Yeah.
And a lot of these breweries they keep you on your toes because they make some excellent beers.
You know how you benefit from it too in Florida Beer Company? What happens is you go out and you try a bunch of great local beers. Let's say you're out, hitting a bunch of different breweries, and you say to yourself, wow, I really love some of that local stuff. I caught the bug. Now I'm in Publix, and you look up and you say, wow, guess what beers you can find in Publix? All these great Florida beers. The Key West, you grab that, boom.
Yeah, that's a good point. We actually have talked with Publix about creating a local section.
Yeah.
And so that's something I see down the line.
What a great thing. I love Publix. Got a new one up here on the corner, man.
You got the Sheridan.
Yeah,
The one
it's
just
just
opened.
It's a great new, nice and clean. So it'd be great to buy these in public.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now,
Because that one over in the Hollywood Circle is just
Yeah,
small.
that's like our convenience store, man. It's just it's crazy there.
Yeah.
the thing about Publix is, you know, in order for a smaller brewery to gain shelf space in Publix, it's very difficult because you have the large breweries, the large brewers putting a lot of pressure on the distributors to place their brands in the cooler. Now the cooler only has so much space.
Right,
You have 36-foot cooler, you have a 40-foot cooler, whatever the space is, that's how many spots are allotted. And when you have numerous large breweries, they're going to take precedence because of the fact of their size and their clout. And by the time you're done with the brands that they want in there, there's no more room to put other brands in there. So a lot of small breweries such as ours get left out. So there's a challenge there, and so if we were able to get them to do a local section, that'll open up the doors to the smaller companies, the smaller local companies.
Yeah,
So-
it's all kind of happening. We kind of see it happening, so it's an interesting thing. And Publix is a good indicator of all those types of things going on. So, but you can walk in and get some great local beers in Publix, which is nice. Speaking of some great local beers, this is an interesting one that we're trying here. This is the Florida Beer Company Gourd Shorts Pumpkin Ale. The reason I like this one, it is a pumpkin, but it's a little darker, so it kind of drink it well into the season, right? This one goes well through Christmas.
Yeah, it sure does. The distributors in the stores try to deplete their inventories by Thanksgiving. But honestly, you know, a beer like this, I think you could drink year round, like a porter. I mean, obviously in South Florida, porters and dark beers a lot of times are seasonal, but in other parts of the country, pumpkin beer I think could go year round. And another factoid, in the month of October, pumpkin beers outsell IPAs as the most highest selling style of beer. So pumpkin beers are becoming extremely popular.
I like this one. It's got a nice base to it. It's definitely a brown ale. Just some light spice to it. Very interesting. But just still a hop. Interesting thing about this one is the hops kind of finish it up.
Yeah, this is very subtle.
It is. It's just like a lot of the other styles that we make, the beers that we brew, we tend to brew them to be a little bit easier drinking, not quite as heavy with intensity. We do have a few intense styles of beer. Our Swamp Ape is an intense flavor, but generally our beers tend to be a little bit on the lighter side, easier drinking. And I think the pumpkin beer it's indicative of this also, that we went a little bit lighter, easy drinking. It's excellent on draft. We had a limited amount of it on draft in South Florida, and it went over very well. It's our first year that we've brewed a pumpkin beer, and this is going to be in our seasonal lineup moving forward.
That's one thing about
I'm nodding. You can't hear me nod on the radio. We're back on the stream. Yeah, this is very easy drinking, and we get a lot of pumpkin beer this time of year.
Yeah,
and this is really good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, with 2015, I looked at that calendar that he talked about, and I said, "Wow, they've been known to be staple beers. Florida Beer Company, they've been a core staple entity for a long time. Out there, just chugging along with some great products. They've got their consistency now with the new brewery. Fantastic, the Key West Amber. I see Key West Amber Ale going right up against brands like Fat Tire. I mean, they're both American amber ales with great flavor profiles. Why not? You know what I mean? It's to sell that much, and take over as a local entity like that. Big brands.
Well, no doubt, Sunset Ale, Key West Sunset Ale is our flagship brand.
Yeah.
It's in South Florida anyway. The sales we've more than doubled our sales over last year.
Yeah.
So the ale's doing phenomenally well for us, and as you're saying, I would put it up against some of the other very popular flagship brands from the other breweries.
But also now you got this diversity coming out with these new brands, which is fun and exciting, and this is what the other craft guys have been doing. They're kind of a lot of these guys. We can do this. A lot of these guys are kind of like flavor of the month. They're replacing their own stuff with their own stuff. But we have seen you do like core stuff that stays on, and now we have some really fun. You might want to grab a glass if you don't have any extra glasses. Some really fun new offerings. And this one here, I think, is probably the most fun. I'd never tried this before. This is the Smoked Swamp Ape. Now,
Smoked Swamp Ape.
Can't wait.
Yeah, Swamp Ape is it's 10%. So
Yeah.
So Swamp Ape is your double IPA, and we've all tried the regular Swamp Ape before, which has some smoked malts in it. What you've done through Mr. Bob Gordash has told me, and he's a big fan of it. And I'm sure he's a good influence on the brewery and the beer making process up there. Enhance the smoked malts a little bit more, right?
We did, and that's hence the name Smoked Swamp Ape.
So it looks.
We use a cherry.
It doesn't look as dark as it was before. It looks a little lighter. Maybe I'm crazy. No, it's right there. You're right. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's seems to be the same color.
Wow.
You like it?
Lordy.
It's intense, isn't it?
I don't know. I got to get over the shock factor. I think that's a clean one there.
Let me grab a little bit of that.
I poured you some right here.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
No,
that's like this one right here. This one right here. That's like Scotch.
Yeah, it's like
Scotch beer, right?
That's intense.
And it does taste. It does have that kind of creosote peated Scotch.
Very much so.
Now this is a craft drinker's
This
beer.
is the craft beer, right?
Wow.
This is and these are best served in a snifter.
It's an eyebrow raiser.
Catch all the aromas. The snifter is good at catching the aromas when you're drinking the beer.
I don't think you could run away from this aroma if you tried. You didn't have to catch nothing.
It'll catch it.
Yeah, there's a lot of intensity.
This one,
pretty
amazing.
We've capitalized on the success of Swamp Ape by coming out with this rendition of Swamp Ape, and also next year we're going to come out with Friends of Swamp Ape, just to kind of throw some different styles in there under the Swamp Ape label because it's become very popular. A lot of people know of us only from the Swamp Ape beer versus some of the other beers we make, and that's because we've developed Swamp Ape's developed kind of a cult following, and
sure has.
And so we're why not run with it? So
this is definitely one of those things. It's going to be very hot and heavy, and it'll be out there in the market. I really want to thank Corey Briceman for coming on, Florida Beer Company. We definitely want to give a big shout out to everybody out there who's part of the affiliation with Florida Beer out there, making it happen every day. Bobby and Mr. Jim Missoni. Definitely going to say hi to him. And, thank you guys for tuning in. Please, everybody, drive safe if you're out there drinking with us. We want to do so safe. Do not overconsume. Do not consume under 21. If you're pregnant, wait to 9 months. Kid'll thank you.
That's right.
You don't want to turn out like George here. So
that's right. Look, my eyes are asymmetrical. It's just, you don't want that for your kids.
I am the swamped smoke ape. Damn
drunken mom.
But thank you so much, Corey. Is there anything you want to plug going on out there? We definitely go to the Florida Beer Company website, Facebook, and there's always a lot going on. You can go. Can you do tours of the brewery? Or?
I was just going to say, come up to the brewery. We're in Cape Canaveral. It's about a 3-hour drive from a little over 3 hours from Miami, a little under 3 hours from Fort Lauderdale. We have a beautiful tasting room. We're a mile from the port. You can book a cruise, a weekend cruise, a perfect weekend. Drive up Friday morning, have a couple beers at the tap room, and then jump on a cruise ship. Actually, you can literally see the ships from the brewery. But it's open 6 days a week, the tap room. The brewery is amazing. You can try. We have 15 different beers on tap. It's a good time. You can come out and see us. I mean, we're proud of the facility.
Yeah, and you can go out to like any bars. Now I know Fort Lauderdale Beach is just crawling with Florida Beer Company. A lot of like I said, we told you where we can get most of these brands out there. Most of them are even available except for the pills in Publix. And you guys just got to go out there and venture and check it out. So we thank you very much for joining us. And everybody have a wonderful, safe evening out there. Corey, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me tonight.
And,
it was a pleasure.
Check us out by the Glass Show on SoFloRadio.com. We come to you all the time. Check us out on iTunes. And Ivan Bad, you're the man.
No, you are.
No, you're the man. Who played the KC in the Sunshine Band? Ooh.
I'm empty over here. Somebody give me some.
Smoke Swamp Ape.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I can handle this.
Oh,
right,
cheers. There we go. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Good night. Smoke your Swamp Ape.
SoFloRadio.com and SoFloTelevision.com.